Hey, good afternoon, all you aviation lunatics. It is Captain T from the Pilot to Pilot Network. Hey, if you haven't joined Pilot to Pilot Network yet, we wish you would. Simple to find, pilottopilot.net. Sign in, join up, costs you nothing. You get a little tickler on your email, tells you when we publish an article or a video. There's also a place on there that's classified ads from Pilot to Pilot. If you want to sell something or you're looking for something to do in aviation, start a trend, start a thread, put your stuff on there, see if somebody else is reading it and wants to buy it. It's all about you guys, okay? So that's why we're doing this. Beautiful April afternoon, sun's getting low, sky's getting quiet. We're going flying, and I thought it might be nice to show all the people out there a little bit about what it takes to fly a complex airplane. It ain't rocket science. If I can do it, you can do it. So if you're a young student starting out or an old student starting out and you haven't quite gotten up to speed on complex high-performance airplanes yet, or maybe you're one of the followers I've got that just loves airplanes but doesn't fly, maybe you'd like to know more about them, this video is going to be for you. So we're going to do some shots. I got some new camera angles we're working on. We're going to use those. And come on along, be my co-pilot. We are going to have a fabulous time. So here's just a little information for all you pilot mavens out there. The Screamin' Eagle is a 1979 Mooney 201 Juliet model. The J model is probably one of the most desirable Moonies that they made. It's a 200 horsepower fuel injected. The J model means that it has a stretched fuselage on it, a little more leg room in the back seat, although not much. 200 horse instead of 180 horse, fuel injected instead of carbureted, and electric flaps and electric landing gear, unlike earlier Moonies, which were manual flaps and manual gear, sometimes hydraulic flaps. Haha, really special. The most notable feature on a Mooney, of course, the backward tail. And if I were you, I'd Google that. Why is the tail backwards on a Mooney? It's a design feature, been there since the inception of the aircraft. 200 horsepower injected Lycoming. Now this airplane has a 3-blade prop on it. The stock issue of this airplane had a 2-blade propeller on it. That's an upgrade or a change. Typically the 3-blade prop gets put on right after the first belly landing when the prop that was on there originally gets broken. So there you got that going for you. But here we are, Mooney 201J. There are a lot of ways that Mooney was designed to get just a little more speed than what was on the market at the time. And one of the ways they do that is by making retractable landing gear. This landing gear is fully enclosed, covers up, closes up into the fuselage and up into the wing. It's electrically actuated. There's a motor that runs a jack screw that drives the mechanism, and the gear folds up into the wing. You'll see that in the video. You'll see the gear go away. Another design feature on the Mooney that helps them get a little bit more speed out of them. In a time when Cessna aircrafts were dominating the market, Mooney comes out with a low wing, and if you notice down the leading edge of the wing, the rivets are all recessed. They're all flush rivets. There's no rivet heads setting up on the leading edge, causing air disturbance and creating drag. Very smooth, very slick surface, and a very fast wing. It's not designed for high lift, short takeoff. It's designed for more speed. Now the rear portion of the wing, you'll see lines of rivets. There's a line. These are rivets over here, rivets over there. This portion is not as critical to the airflow, and so therefore they use round-headed rivets. The end of the aileron right here, the beginning of the flap right there, and the flap is fairly long. It's not real wide. It only deflects to about 28 degrees, but it's just enough to maintain slow speed control for the Mooney to land. One of the other design features on a Mooney that they don't have on a lot of these older type airplanes, look at how tight the gap seal is on the aileron to the wing. There's no air coming up from the bottom to the top through this gap. The result is just a little more speed when you need it. Same thing is true back here on the horizontal. You check the gap here, very tight fit between the elevator and the horizontal stabilizer. Also, same kind of deal going on here on the rudder. They actually put a piece in there to fill the gap on the rudder. So there you have it, your primer on Moonies. You know all about them. One door on the side. Now the new Mooney, after, I don't know, 60, 70 years in business, the biggest complaint the Mooney drivers ever had was they only had one cockpit door. The new Mooney Acclaim has a door on each side. So it's a little tight in here for this camera, but we'll take a look. The pilot's side of the machine, of course, you have your control yoke for aileron and elevator pitch, and then down below you see the silver pedals down there. Those are your rudder controls. They operate the rudder, control the yaw, and all of your engine instruments running right across the top. They tell you left and right fuel tank, fuel pressure, oil temperature, and because we're a high-performance airplane, we pay a little more attention to cylinder head temperatures and exhaust gas temperatures. We don't want to run the engine too hot. Over here is ammeter. We're going to look at that. When we start, we should show a discharge and then it should come back. Obviously, we want to know if the alternator is working. It's an 8-day clock. Magneto switch. Airplanes run on magnetos now. Mechanical driven spark device, okay? The engine turns, trips a magneto, provides spark to the spark plugs. We have 2 magnetos in case one fails. We have a 4-cylinder engine with 8 spark plugs in case one fails. If everything in the electrical system, here's the master switch that turns on all the electrical. If everything in the electrical system fails, the magnetos still provide power to the engine still runs. So there, if you didn't know that, now you do. Over here is airspeed indicator. It's calibrated both knots and miles per hour. This is artificial horizon. Blue over brown, that's what we're looking for, that's normal. Altimeter tells us how high we are above sea level. This is a radio navigation aid. This is an engine analyzer, graphic engine analyzer. Down here is a 3M storm scope. So that'll find lightning strikes. This is the control for the intercom and headsets. This is a vertical speed indicator. Tells us how fast we're going up or down. Now the important thing that everybody has to learn when they start flying is don't watch this a lot because it does not read instantaneously. Now in some of the bigger jets and in airliners and stuff, it does read instantaneously. This again, another nav head. This is a compass with a nav feature built into it. Down here, get back out of the way, this is your power lever or throttle. This is your propeller lever. This has an adjustable prop on it. We use fine pitch for takeoff and then we massage it back to a coarser pitch for cruise. We get better efficiency that way. This is the mixture lever. Mixture is very important in this airplane. We talked a little bit briefly about temperature. You're going to basically control the temperature of the exhaust gas and cylinder heads by how much fuel you're putting into the engine. You don't want to run it too lean, you'll burn it up, but you don't want to run it too cold either. Down here, this airplane's got wing trim, aileron trim, and even below that is a fuel selector valve. Now the trim, we got a trim wheel of course like everybody else, but we also have electric trim. Nose down, nose up. Behind that there's a push to talk button for your radios, push to talk. Over here the gear is down. Verify that before you turn this switch on. Over here is radios. Right in the middle of the panel where everybody can reach them. And here they come. Look at this. It's like a Christmas tree. Hey, while we're waiting for those to come up, you notice it says Garmin everywhere. I'm kind of a big Garmin fan. While we're waiting for that to come up, we got just a couple more things over here to look at. All of the circuit breakers are way over on the right-hand panel. Down here is engine RPMs, and that is controlled with the big blue lever. And above that is manifold pressure. That is your throttle or power setting. Remember I talked about engine temperature, exhaust gas temperature? That's what EGT stands for, exhaust gas temperature, and we couple that with cylinder head temperature, which we can read over here on the graphic design, graphic engine analyzer. There, I knew I could get it out. And of course the ever popular landing gear handle. Down here, way down in the bottom of the aircraft, on the pedestal, this is the flap switch. Flaps down, flaps up. Also the trim indicator is in this area. Down here is heater, defrost, and ventilation. Fresh air, ram air. This airplane's got a ram air feature. When you get up high, you can pick up an inch or so of manifold pressure by opening this and bypassing the inlet filter on the induction system. Also a parking brake and cowl flaps. And we talked about engine temperature several times, kind of critical in a high-performance airplane sometimes. They have cowl flaps. If you open the flaps, you get better airflow, and that airflow enables the engine to stay cool. So up here in the radio department, we have a Garmin 530, which is WAS, wide angle augmentation. Also a Garmin 430. Also a GTX 330 transponder. Now this transponder has got, we've had the update done on it, and it does have ADS-B out, as well as a traffic information system attached. So we can see other people, they can see us. Over here is navigation. This is a Garmin 696 panel mounted. It's kind of slick, big screen. Has several other features, not the least of which is at the top of it. When we get going, you'll see it. The top of it is a synthetic panel with some of these guys on it. So that's it from the cockpit of the Screamin' Eagle. You have seen it all. Well, there you go, all you aviation types. A little up close and personal look at the business end of the Screamin' Eagle. Hey, we hope you learned a little bit of something today. Come on along and join us for part 2 coming soon on YouTube, where we're going to talk about cold starts, hot starts, climbs, descents, and landings. Hey, join the conversation on Facebook at Pilot to Pilot Network. Facebook's on fire. Follow us along on YouTube. Punch that big red subscribe button for us. We love it. For now, it's Captain T. So long.